Hey everybody, this is Jim Neve from Jim Neve Woodworks. Hey, I'm going to do a really quick project today. I got a cool idea from a viewer named SJet. I don't know what his real name is, but that's his username on YouTube. He gave me an idea of putting a muffler on my air compressor. I did a video of this Quincy air compressor and a radiator and fan that I use on there to condense or cool down the air and condense some of the water out. So it's kind of an air dryer cooler. And just an overall review of this. One thing with this compressor is it's a bit noisy because the stock silencer and air filter on it still allows a lot of that pulsing noise from the air intake to come out. So he suggested hooking it up to some hose and putting the stock one in a bucket. That was a really good idea. Went online and looked for some just aftermarket silencers that I could find that were better, because maybe I could just buy one and screw it on. However, most of those I really can't tell how good they work, and a lot of them are 100 or 200 bucks or more. And so I thought, I'll do what he did and just go down to Lowe's and get a little cheap hardware and see if I can make this thing work easier. So basically, let's take a look at what we got here. I spent $39 at Lowe on some PVC pipe and stuff, and it's working really well for me here. So I thought I'd share it quick today. All right, just a quick review of the parts list here. I think I spent 39 bucks at Lowe's here. I got a short 2-inch piece, a 3/4 inch black steel pipe, a threaded coupler to glue for PVC, a regular slip joint or coupler so I could take the whole unit off easily, a couple of 90-degree joints, and a 5-foot section of 3/4 inch PVC. I got a little pail with a lid. It's a 1.5 quart size, and a roll of just plain old fiberglass pipe wrap insulation. I think this was 3 inches wide. Ideally, maybe something like 5 inches wide would work better, but 3 inches fine. Okay, just to kind of walk through the progression of parts. I got this, it's all painted so you can't tell what's PVC and what's metal, but this little stub here is a 3/4 inch NPT male to male. I went with metal here because the head can get pretty hot. This one doesn't get nearly as hot as the second stage cylinder bank, but it still gets fairly hot. So I put a chunk of black iron pipe on here just to kind of reduce the heat before it gets to the PVC. So this is a standard PVC coupler. I only put this on there to allow me to take this thing apart, because if it was all glue joints I wouldn't get it apart. Then a couple of PVC joints, comes down to a 90, and then down at the bottom we've got the bucket there. So I'm going to go through all the parts here and show you how I put it together. So what I actually had on the air compressor technically is a intake silencer. If you look them up, air compressor intake silencers, this is what you'll see mostly a picture of. And granted, it's way better than nothing, and it also houses this filter cartridge. But as I showed in the video, like I said, it's better than nothing, but still a ton of noise comes out this side port. So we're going to keep this, but essentially try to silence it as much as possible. So now I need to create an intake on the canister to bring air in, and it only has to be the equivalent of a 3/4 inch hole. but I don't want to restrict it much. I don't want to put it on the lid because I don't want dust to fall into it. And there's plenty of room on the bottom, so I'm just going to put some holes in the bottom. I'm going to use the tried and true method of melting holes in the bottom. The hole in the lid, I just drilled with a 1-inch Forstner bit because that was exactly the size of the 3/4 inch PVC pipe that I used. But here I just need some holes. I'm using a landscaping spike that I had laying around. So we're gonna heat this up. This is how my mom used to drill holes in plastic. Unfortunately, she used dad's screwdrivers for it, so a lot of the handles were melted too. But use a sacrificial piece of something you don't care about. There we go. Got quite a few holes drilled around the perimeter. I'm just going to leave the melted plastic on the edge because that kind of reinforces the sides of the holes, so they'll probably crack less easy over time. But that should be more than enough airflow for that to allow area that the little pipe can take in and the compressor can take in. So that's it for the melty drilling. So in the bottom container, I basically put a few, I don't know, 5 or 6 layers of this pipe insulation down on the bottom, and then I made a circle that was basically, I made it a little bit bigger and stapled it together with just a regular stapler, and that way it kind of forces itself to the outside in there and makes this little kind of sealed in area for the existing filter and muffler to fit. And then under the lid, you can see I've got a 3/4 inch NPT pipe fitting that the stock filter canister screws into, and then the lid fits around on the top. And I also made about 5 or 6 layers of fiberglass to go on the top. So when the bottom is fit onto here, basically the whole thing will be surrounded by fiberglass. And I think this stuff is matted together well enough. I'm not too worried about a bunch of these fibers plugging up the filter in here at all. It's a pretty good tight fiberglass bat. One last thing that's probably obvious to you now or occurred to you is that if you didn't want to have the pipe and everything and you really wanted to make this cheap, like $10, you could simply get this pail and make it exactly like I did with the insulation in it. And then instead of hanging it on the pipe and having the coupler and everything, you could simply place it over the filter and existing silencer that was mounted up here about where this coupler is. You could just simply mount it around the silencer up here. The reason I didn't do that is I didn't really want to see a cheesy plastic bucket sticking up on top of my air compressor, and I wanted to get it down here back behind the compressor so that if there was any noise still coming out of that area, it would be kind of behind the compressor, which is the opposite side of where I work in the garage. So I thought it might be a little quieter and it might look a little better. But I would say the piped connection is not necessary. Like I said, if you just want a really quick and dirty way to do it, you can just unscrew that canister, slide the lid on, and then pop the screw the canister back in and pop the pail back on. It would probably work just as good, just maybe not look as good. So just to give a close-up look around, you can see there's the slip coupling, so I can get it off later. I may have trouble with that in the future. I had to really get it tight so that this whole piece didn't sag down, so I might have to tie this up with a string or something out here. But down here in the side is the canister, so if we twist it this way, you can kind of see this whole thing here is just basically dangling in air, and that's the pail at the end where it's got the extra insulation and stuff around there. So it made a significant improvement in here. Obviously you can still hear the compressor and the motor, but it got rid of that pulsing sound that was coming from the original intake. So it's a pretty good improvement. It cost me 39 bucks. It's pretty simple. It was about the same price as alternative mufflers. Actually, it was about the same price as the cheapest one I could find that wasn't basically the same as the stock one that was on here. So I think it works better than anything you're going to find for any equivalent price. So anyway, it's a kind of a cool little project if you're looking to reduce the cost or the noise of your air compressor. Some air compressors actually come without anything on them. They just have, you know, up here they'll have a threaded hole in there. Typically not a V compressor like this because the dirt can fall in here, but some of the like single and dual piston models, like the 30 gallons type, don't even come with those. So those, it would make a huge difference, but in that case you can also make a large difference just by buying a aftermarket muffler slash filter, and it should have a filter on it anyway to prolong the life of the pump. So with those you can try that first and then see if that's not enough. You can always add an extra amount of sound insulation around it like I just did. Anyway, if you like this, please like the video. If you have any questions or comments, throw them down in the comments section. I always take a look at them. Thank you. Bye.